will you remove your helmet and tell me your name?
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true Emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema, and welcome to the Alphabet Action Movie Challenge. And today we're on G, and I decided to review Gladiator for you guys. So Gladiator was released in 2000, directed by Ridley Scott, and starring Russell Crowe, Connie Nielsen, Joaquin Phoenix, and Oliver Reed. This film, guys, this is a genre I really like. You know, period pieces, sword and sandals kind of stuff. I mean, I'm a big fan of Ben-Hur. I'm a big fan of Braveheart. I'm a big fan of Spartacus. All of these kind of like epic period piece drama films. But Gladiator also revigorated the period piece genre, so to speak, because then we had stuff like King Arthur and Troy, The Last Samurai, and all the great period piece flicks. It also had some real turmoil on set. They were filming this while they were writing it. Ridley Scott brought in John Logan to touch up some writing stuff, and it got crazy, it got messy, and I think that's just a testament of how great Ridley Scott is as a director. The way he navigated through this storm is a really unbelievable task. And I mean, this movie went on to win Oscars, practically flawless in its genre. Great art direction, great cinematography, great music, great performances. So, I mean, there's a lot to talk about here. To top it all off, while filming, Oliver Reed, who plays Proximo, passed away during it. So that was another thing they had to navigate around, and they did. And it just, you know, this movie just did a lot. And man, when I first saw this movie, it was a terrible experience because the theater was so freaking packed that I had to sit in the front row like this. You guys know the drill. Sitting up, watching this kind of movie, the screen right in front of me. So I went back the next week and got a better seat. Crowds died down, and awesome experience. So I actually saw this twice in the theater. So the story follows the highest ranking Rome general and Maximus, played by Russell Crowe, who gets betrayed by Commodus, which is Caesar's son. They go to execute him. He loses his wife, his son. He becomes a slave, and he gets trained as a gladiator by Proximo with other gladiators. He works up the gladiator rank, and really just to get revenge back at the new emperor, Commodus, who betrayed him. So Ridley Scott just really tells a classic revenge tale, bringing you into the world of Rome, being able to see the Colosseum, and it's perfectly cast with Russell Crowe, Connie Nielsen, Joaquin Phoenix, Oliver Reed, the late Oliver Reed. Russell Crowe does do a great job in this as our angered hero, the guy who has been betrayed, who's lost everything, his ranking, his family, works his way back up to Rome, as our heroes should. So we really latch on to his character, and I just really like what motivates him at the beginning of this movie, that he just wants to go home. He just wants to run a farm, be with his family, and that's what he's fighting for. That's his motivation, and it's good stuff. And when that all gets taken away, just revenge fills his heart. And Joaquin Phoenix as Commodus, who just betrays everyone, just wants Rome to be an empire. He wants to run the whole thing. He's not a moral guy. He's in love with his sister. He wants a pure blood from his sister. He's very dark, and the way Joaquin Phoenix, you know, has those dark eyes, and his performance is very, you know, sinister. You know what I mean? And Ridley Scott at the time said, you know, Joaquin Phoenix was a very underconfident actor. He kept saying, you know, I don't think I'm nailing this. I don't think I'm a good actor. And of course, you know, he always thought he was in the shadow of his brother all the time, River Phoenix. And River Phoenix used to tell him, you know, you're a great actor. You know, you're way better than me. Way better. And obviously, Joaquin Phoenix has proved how brilliant of an actor he is. And it shows in this movie, because how sinister he can be. You watch his facial impressions, they just really are brilliant. I like how the cinematography, you see a lot of darkness with his eyes too, because his eyes are naturally dark, but they really, you know, they add to that where they put a lot of shadow in his eyes, just for that sinister look. And I really like that. Connie Nielsen delivers a great performance as Lucilia, as Commodore's sister. She is terrified of her brother. As long as he's in power, she's going to live in this constant state of fear. I mean, she's a flawed character. She has her flaws. There's more goodness in her, and she has more grief and remorse than her brother Commodus. The one character I think I really like in this movie is Oliver Reed as Proximo. Now, the history of this character, he was an ex-gladiator. So he's moving Maximus along to say, you know, you're good, but you got to win the crowd. You win the crowd, you win the freedom. So he takes him on this journey of saying, you got to entertain them. You just can't go in there and kill people. And I really love the passion Oliver Reed brought to this role. How much he loved being a gladiator, how he loved the crowd. You know, the one scene where he's like, you should see the Colosseum, Spaniard. It rises like a storm. Like he's so passionate with this character. And I just really like what Oliver Reed brought. Very charismatic guy. A guy with a lot of presence to him on screen too. Of course, the battle scenes are all fantastic. I love the way this movie opens up. You're seeing the calm before the storm. You're seeing, you know, Maximus preparing the battle. And he's a farmer, so he picks up the dirt, lets it run through his hands. We start off with this a really good battle scene that I think is pretty historically accurate as far as the tactics. And, you know, the attention to detail Ridley Scott put into everything. Whether he's doing something like Alien or Blade Runner or this, you know what I mean? He just brings you to a world and he puts attention to detail on everything. I just love the military tactics they're using and just the grittiness of the battle scenes and all the Gladiator Coliseum scenes. I love the fight scene Maximus has where there's a tiger that jumps up. So not only is he fighting this huge freaking beast of a man, there's also a tiger running after him. The one epic battle scene with the chariots and the gladiators where they're reenacting an old war. You know what I mean? Great battle sequences in here. And the battle scenes use a really great use of slow-mo. And throughout this film, you know, Ridley Scott will do slow-mo for a few seconds and speed it up again. He messes around with the pacing a bit, and I really like that creative decision. Hans Zimmer's score. This is where I was introduced to Hans Zimmer, was this movie. I've been a fan ever since. I just love what he brings to this. Brings a lot of emotion to the score. You really feel in this movie because of that score. When those battle scenes are happening, the music gets really epic and cinematic, man. It's the heart, right? The music will always be the heart of your film. And Hans Zimmer, it just does so many great scores. But this is how I was introduced to him. How Ridley Scott brought Rome and the Colosseum back. The production design, the art direction in this is fantastic. Some really early use of CGI, but I still think it holds up really well. Seeing Rome at its height of its power and everything is just absolutely incredible to watch. Really nice, wide, epic shots to give you this real grand scale of everything. You see what the Roman Empire was. There's one scene where the gladiators are coming down and they're in an elevator. They had a freaking running elevator at the height of the Roman Empire, right? So production design, just again, attention to detail. I really like the cinematography. I really like the use of the murky colors when he's not in Rome, where it's on the battlefield, kind of desaturated a bit. And when we get to Rome, it gets a little bit more bright and more light because Rome is supposed to be the light. What it really isn't, because there's so much of this political corruption that's going on with the city. And there's certain shots I really like. I really like at the end where Maximus, you know, at the end where they have this final fight between Maximus and Commodus, and, you know, as Maximus is dying, you know, he's in and out of the spirit world and the real world. And you see, I just love that cinematography where he's going to his family in the spirit world, and then he gets snapped back, and then he's back in the Colosseum again, you know what I mean? I just really like that. And if I could just talk one of the greatest scenes in this movie, you know that famous scene where he stares down the Emperor, where he takes his helmet off and everything, right? Russell Crowe did not want to say those lines like, "I will have my vengeance." He thought it was corny, he thought it was cheesy, and he actually said, you know, because I'm a great actor, I will make people believe it. You know what? That's an arrogant statement, but he's right. Think about what he has to say when he's like, "Father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I'll have my vengeance." A lesser actor, that could have come off in a very different way. Russell Crowe could just deliver that and make you believe it. I absolutely just love that freaking moment and the look on Joaquin Phoenix's face and everything, that he's alive and everything. Oh, awesome stuff. Now, I will say the theatrical edition, I think is the better cut of this film. There's a extended cut that I watched. I felt like it was too long. It was too long. So they probably cut things they needed to cut. And even the theatrical edition, you're probably gonna find that the pacing slows down a bit. There's a lot of conversations with, you know, communists and other politicians and how they're, you know, they're talking all of behind each other's back, just establishing more of what Commodus wants to do as emperor. Probably a lot of conversations that probably weren't needed. Some scenes could have been cut here and there. The most interesting stuff is when it is Maximus on screen. Maybe they could have tied some of those conversations up a little tighter, but you know, what do I know? I think this thing won for best writing. So, and in fact, I had a book called Screenwriting for Dummies. And the biggest example they do about screenwriting is this movie, how great Gladiator is as how to really write a structured story. But I just feel like the movie may be longer than it has to be, just a tiny bit. But other than that, practically flawless film, guys. I love Gladiator. If you like these kind of movies, these period piece sword and sandals, give you lots of action, give you lots of drama, you're definitely gonna like this one. I'm gonna give Gladiator a B+. What about you guys? What do you think of Gladiator? Let me know in the comments below. We'll have a good talk, good discussion about it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you can keep up to date on all the content coming out. Go down the rabbit hole, check out my other reviews, other related reviews, have fun on the channel, all that jazz. I will see you on the next video, and I will see you in the movies. Cheers.